Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Aerial Outsider. I'm your host, Kyle, and this is a podcast where we talk about drones, NASCAR, football, and basketball. So, today we are talking about how drones have changed the world of cinematography. Whether it's a student film that you're shooting, a National Geographic expedition, or a blockbuster movie, drones are now a part of the visual language. They've changed how aerial filming has opened up and how new creative possibilities are even reshaping the drone industry and the film industry as a whole. And I'm sure the way the new generation of film directors, I'm sure they're educated on drones as well. Let's break it down. So going a few years back, I'm sure most of those shots, even in the early 2000s, you had to have a helicopter to shoot most of the aerial stuff that most of the older movies are shot with, and especially with expeditions. Well, that's changed now. No longer are you, if you wanted an aerial shot, no longer are you needing a helicopter, maybe even a massive crane or even a massive budget just to rent one of those things. You can now just go to your Best Buy or your local tech store. Here in Omaha, it's more or less probably Nebraska Furniture Mart, because of all places, that's the local place now. But that means aerial cinematography can now be just big enough to fit in someone's pocket, where you can go ahead and buy your drone and be able to carry that to wherever you go. So if you're hiking in the Grand Canyon, you can take your drone and you can go ahead and get the shots you want, whether you're on a small budget or a big time budget. It's accessible, affordable, and it's standard now. There's no need for a helicopter or a fancy crane now these days. Just think of it as an upgrade from that. And I'm sure people going to school for film, I'm sure they are learning about drones as well. Me personally, have never gone to a film school, so I can't speak personally on this or anything like that, but I'm very sure that they probably go through some drone operations as far as when shooting a movie, maybe even FAA compliance, and even aerial storyboarding. Now, I'm guessing the FAA compliance part is only here in the U.S. I'm sure that other countries, especially over in Europe, Russia, China, any of those countries, they're going to have their different rules for drones. So when you think about how drones have changed the cinematography, storyboarding, and film industry, I'm sure a lot of that is different, especially what country you're in, because the U.S., the laws here are changing constantly. So flying a drone for, say, a movie or educational documentary, that's different than saying doing the same thing over in Russia, China, or Europe, where they have different regulations, different laws that you would need to abide by. How to fly it safe, how to fly it legally, how to plan the aerial shots is probably a big source or a big part of what you're going to be learning in a film school, because you need to know how to fly the drone in a half hour, so that you can get your shots for your documentary or movie, whichever one you're shooting at the time. I would think that the film schools would cover that. Now, since drones are so popular and you're only going to get more of them, and they probably teach how to integrate all the drone footage that you get, how to integrate that with the traditional camera work, as far as, the ground cameras that don't have props or anything like that, how to use those to put the drone shots in a way in the film to make it so that it flows good. Uh, I've never been to a film school, so I cannot tell you if that is true or not, but I would assume with today's world that it is. So with documentaries and research and expeditions, drones have changed that world as well. So no longer do you need a helicopter just to see remote landscapes. You can just do it with a drone, especially if the landscapes are pretty rugged. You go to Antarctica or even say the mountains or a canyon, say for example the Grand Canyon here in the U.S. Drones would help you to be able to show all that rugged landscape without having a helicopter. For one, it's quieter. You can respect the peace of people hiking in the canyon, the mountains, even the cold tundra of Antarctica, and you can get your footage without disturbing anybody or disturbing very little. You can explore inaccessible areas. So say, for example, jungles, like I haven't mentioned, but mountains I have in the Arctic regions. Jungles with all the dense vegetation, you may only be able to, drive or walk so far, but a drone can get you that extra little distance that maybe you're looking for to try and explore for your educational documentary or film. You can also collect real-world data like air quality, vegetation health. You can fly those different drones with the different attachments on the expedition. So not just for film, the expedition could be using, say, infrared drone just to see where the heat of the rainforest is coming from. How you can use LiDAR to get topography maps of, say, a rainforest of said area, and then they can use that as scientific data from the expedition, so that when they go back to report the results, they can say, hey, this is doing this, we should try and do this better. And then also producing the film side would just be producing the expedition in a visual manner, which to most of us would probably come out on Netflix or Hulu or wherever they list or publish the film at. But that's another way drones have changed it. You can also do scouting with drones as well. So they improve the safety. So one of the things with this is documenting, say, an emergency situation. Some things that come to mind with that are wildfires, even volcanoes, and just surveying disaster zones. So I think, and this is just me kind of going off on a tangent here, I was not around when Mount St. Helens went kaboom back in 1980. But I have looked at or watched YouTube videos and looked at some articles pertaining to Mount St. Helens in the past, and on a yearly basis before I even started this podcast, and just read whatever was out there, watched whatever YouTube videos were out there. And I've noticed one thing is that they were doing all this research, but they all had to hike up so far to put the seismic meters, any other scientific equipment up the side of the mountains, even surveying. They didn't have drones back then, so all they were doing were using handheld cameras. So I think back then, if drones were available, I think this would have helped them clear more of a disaster zone, or even be more educated on the potential risks of what was going on in Mount St. Helens when it exploded, due to the fact that the the danger zone around the mountain was by far not big enough. So I think something like that would have helped that type of a disaster back then. And then also, too, watching some of the documentaries on that disaster, most of the aerial shots are from a helicopter. Just think if they had drones back then, they wouldn't need the helicopters to fly over the affected areas. But that is in the past. That my tangent was, what my point was I was trying to get across is there is that type of a disaster. I think drones have a very, very good sense of use for, and then maybe even using the drones even with volcanoes that erupt with quote-unquote lava, not a pyroclastic flow like Mount St. Helens. I think they'd be useful out in Hawaii and maybe even Iceland too, since we've heard about Iceland in recent years as well. As far as, other things in the film industry, drones can get shots of things where maybe people don't want a helicopter flying over their property for a major film or, a documentary. Maybe the filmmakers want to be respectful of, that native person's land. Drones can do that. They can get you shots close up and far away of whatever you're trying to shoot. As far as respecting the other property owners, you don't have to fly over their property. You can get all of your shots from a device that is smaller or small enough to fit in your pocket and basically fly and be able to get all of your shots. Especially if you're out in the wild and you're trying to do, say, maybe a documentary about wildlife. You can get your shots with your drone and you can not disturb the wildlife out in the wild and be able to not disturb maybe campers in Yellowstone and they're camping, but they want to enjoy the wildlife too. Well, if you have a helicopter go overhead, you're scaring the wildlife away, and in turn, that just kind of ruins the, maybe the vacation of that person just wanted to see a black bear at Yellowstone, but the helicopter went flying over. The drones are much quieter. You can track wildlife with drones a lot better than with a helicopter, so that as far as that's concerned, that's a huge advantage about using drones in, say, the cinematography industry and making, and even the documentary industry as well. Some of the older films, obviously, looping back around to the film industry for big blockbuster movies, those action movies, a lot of times use cranes. Like I said, cranes and helicopters get all those shots. Just imagine the type of shots that they could have gotten if drones were around, especially, say, maybe for the Die Hard movies, which, I'm sure those who are old enough know the Die Hard movies. Those were some pretty epic movies right around Christmas time. Even James Bond movies, so a lot of the older movies with a lot of action, you name it, probably used a crane and a helicopter. But those movies also had big budgets. Most of us here in the real world, we don't have big budgets, so that's what's changed in the world of cinematography. And I think drones are a good thing for this industry. They're only going to get better. You can get up close in. You can get far away shots, especially with the multiple different types of drones out there, especially the Avata by DJI. That's meant for more closed, tight space drone activity. But then you go to, say, the Free Fly drone, which is a $15,000 drone. that you can mount like a camera, a very expensive camera, more than just a regular gimbal drone. But there's all sorts of drones that range in between those sizes that can help you out if you're into the film industry. So I just wanted to cover how drones have actually like made the film industry grow and get more technologically advanced, whether you're doing a film or you're doing a documentary, or if you're just someone who just wants to get that aerial shot. Like, say maybe you want to start up a YouTube channel, you can get that aerial shot as well, and it's more accessible too, more creative than doing stuff from a crane or a cherry picker. But I just wanted to point that out and say, hey, this industry is really benefiting from the use of drones. So thank you very much for listening, and I will update the Facebook page as well. So go ahead and like the Facebook page, Aerial Outsider Podcast on Facebook. I am posting there constantly, just so that there's content out there about drones. There's content out there about sports. I know this is a drone podcast. This episode is a drone episode, but my goal is to bring the two worlds together and do that as best as I can. I also wanted to mention I also have a drone business as well. So head over to like that page, Netzel Air Drone Services LLC, and I'm an Omaha-based drone company. So if you're in the Omaha area and need drone services, look me up. I'm on all social media platforms, and I will see you in the next episode.